It started like any normal Saturday afternoon at the mall. The food court was buzzing, the shops were packed, and groups of teenagers were laughing, talking, and just enjoying their weekend. Among them was 15-year-old Maya and her two best friends, giggling over inside jokes and sharing fries at their usual spot. But what was meant to be a carefree hangout quickly spiraled into something no one expected, all because of a stranger's sudden outburst. Out of nowhere, a woman, probably in her late 40s, stormed over to their table. People nearby would later describe her as clearly agitated, her face red, voice loud, and her eyes locked on Maya. The woman, who others started calling Karen later on, pointed at the girls and snapped, saying they were being too loud and disruptive. The girls were confused at first, even apologized, thinking maybe they'd disturbed someone. But what happened next left everyone in shock. Witnesses say the woman suddenly got in Maya's face, yelling over the laughter that she claimed was rude and attention-seeking. Before anyone could step in, things escalated, fast. And while the exact moment was caught on a few shaky phone cameras, what happened in the heat of that moment has people across the internet talking. The mall security was called. Bystanders tried to calm the situation, but the damage was already done. Not just to Maya's day, but to how we talk about respect, boundaries, and what happens when adults let their anger take over. So what really happened between Karen and the teenage girls? What triggered such an extreme reaction? And how did the crowd and the mall staff respond when things took that unexpected turn? Stay with us, because this story is far from over. Just minutes before the confrontation, Maya and her friends had been recording a lighthearted TikTok. Nothing outrageous, just them dancing and laughing like any other group of teens trying to enjoy the weekend. They weren't bothering anyone directly, and most people nearby didn't even seem to notice. But apparently, the woman who approached them had been watching from a nearby table, and she didn't like what she saw or heard. Some people said she had been grumbling under her breath for a while before she actually walked over. Others mentioned she looked frustrated, like something else had already put her in a bad mood. Maya, who's known to be pretty quiet and respectful, was taken completely off guard. According to her friends, she even lowered her voice and tried to explain they weren't trying to upset anyone. But the woman, who still hasn't been officially identified, wasn't interested in listening. Her tone only got sharper. The crowd around the food court started noticing, and phones came out as voices began to rise. There's still a lot of debate online about what exactly was said in that moment. Some clips make it clear the woman accused the girls of mocking her, though no one really understands why. Others suggest she felt disrespected, even though the teens weren't even aware she was nearby until she approached them. The situation quickly turned into more than just a disagreement. It became a scene that drew the attention of nearly everyone in that part of the mall. And that's when mall security finally stepped in. But not before the crowd had started reacting. Some people were calling out the woman, telling her to back off. Others just watched in shock, unsure of what they were even witnessing. What happened next only added more confusion and tension to an already chaotic situation. As security made their way through the growing crowd, the woman was still shouting, not just at Maya and her friends anymore, but at anyone nearby who questioned her. She claimed the teens were being disrespectful, that they were causing a disturbance in a public place. But many people watching disagreed. A couple of bystanders even stepped forward, trying to calmly tell her the girls were just being normal teenagers, not bothering anyone. Maya's friend Jenna, who had started recording once things got tense, could be heard asking the woman why she was so upset. The woman snapped back, insisting she had a right to shop in peace and that kids these days didn't know how to behave. It wasn't just about noise anymore. Now it felt like something deeper, something more personal. Some people in the crowd started wondering if this woman had had a bad day or if she just had a problem with teenagers in general. Either way, her anger was clearly misplaced. Meanwhile, Maya was visibly shaken. Her hands were trembling and she kept glancing at her friends like she couldn't believe what was happening. She hadn't said much since the woman first approached. Her silence, in a way, said everything. This wasn't something she was used to. Her friends circled around her protectively, unsure whether to speak up or just wait for help to arrive. Xiao. The mall security guards finally reached the group. They began separating everyone involved, trying to de-escalate things. But even then, the woman kept talking, pointing fingers and demanding someone take this seriously. One guard asked the girls for their side of the story, while another gently tried to lead the woman away. But the crowd wasn't ready to forget what they'd seen, and the videos that were already spreading online were starting to gain traction. Different people had different takes. Some blamed the woman for overreacting. Others wondered if there was more to the story. But one thing was clear. What happened that afternoon had sparked a bigger conversation, and it wasn't going away anytime soon. The atmosphere in the EI mall shifted from confused to tense as more people gathered near the scene. Security had separated the woman and the teens, but the damage was already done. Maya sat on a bench, still visibly shaken, while her friends tried to comfort her. One of the guards asked her quietly if she wanted to call her parents. She nodded, barely able to speak. Her voice cracked when she said, "I don't even know what we did wrong." Meanwhile, the woman, still frustrated and defensive, was arguing with another guard. She was now claiming the girls had been mocking her appearance and that she felt harassed. But people standing nearby disagreed. A young man who had recorded most of the incident stepped forward and offered to show security the footage. Others chimed in, saying the girls hadn't done anything wrong and that the woman had been the one who escalated things. Videos of the incident had already started spreading online, with titles like "Karen Freaks Out at Teen Girls in Mall" and "Teen Girls Confronted for Laughing Too Loud." Comments were flooding in, some angry, some confused, and others just shocked that a simple moment of joy had turned into a public argument. As more footage came to light, people began questioning whether this was really about noise at all, or if the woman had let something else, maybe her own stress or personal frustrations, boil over onto a group of innocent kids. The mall staff seemed unsure of how to handle it all. Should they ask the woman to leave? Should they involve the police? And what about Maya and her friends? Were they going to be okay after all this? Just when it seemed like things might start calming down, another voice broke through the noise. A woman in the crowd who claimed she saw what happened even earlier, before the argument. What she said made everyone pause and changed the energy of the situation instantly. The woman in the crowd stepped forward, her voice steady but loud enough to grab everyone's attention. "I saw her following the girls before they even sat down," she said, pointing toward the woman who had caused the scene. "She passed by their table twice, and I thought it was weird because she didn't seem like she was shopping. She just kept staring at them." The crowd grew quiet. Even the security guards paused, clearly surprised. Maya's friends looked at each other confused. They hadn't noticed anyone watching them before the confrontation. But now, hearing this stranger's account, it started to feel like this wasn't just a random reaction to noise. There was something else going on. Something they hadn't seen coming. One of the guards turned to the woman and asked for more details. She went on to explain that earlier, when the girls were taking pictures and laughing near the entrance of the food court, the same woman had been nearby, already looking irritated, mumbling under her breath. This second twist changed everything. What had seemed like a sudden outburst was now being seen in a different light. Maybe the woman's anger had been building for longer than anyone realized. Maybe she had been looking for a reason to lash out. Or maybe, as some people were starting to suggest online, she had personal biases that influenced how she viewed the girls from the start. Tension in the mall was rising again. People were whispering, others recording. Someone even mentioned calling local news, saying the situation felt like a bigger issue than just one argument. And then, Just as security began reviewing footage from inside the mall's cameras, a new voice entered the mix, a store employee who had also seen part of the incident. What he shared would shift the direction of the entire situation and bring even more eyes onto what was already turning into a viral controversy. The store employee stepped into the center of the conversation, clearly nervous but determined to speak up. "I saw the whole thing from the window near our shop," he said. "The girls weren't doing anything wrong. They were just laughing and filming like any other group of teens. But the woman, she wasn't just watching. She actually pulled out her phone and started recording them first, like she was building some case against them." That stunned everyone. Maya looked shocked. "She was filming us?" she asked quietly. The idea that someone had been secretly watching and recording them for who knows how long was unsettling. The security guards exchanged looks. One of them asked the woman directly if she had any footage on her phone. At first, she denied it. But when they politely asked to check, her tone changed. She grew defensive again, saying it was, for her, protection. But the tension in the air had shifted. People weren't buying her story anymore. When security reviewed the footage from the mall's cameras, everything clicked into place. They confirmed that the woman had, in fact, been tailing the girls through the food court, watching them from a distance before finally confronting them. There was no sign of the girls provoking her, no loud screaming or disrespect. It was just normal teenage behavior: laughter, friendship, fun. The guards made the call to escort the woman out of the mall. As she was walked away, people clapped, not in mockery, but in relief. Maya and her friends were finally able to breathe, but just as the crowd began to clear, one final surprise came. A security supervisor returned, saying the woman had been involved in a similar complaint just weeks earlier. Different teens, different day, but almost the exact same situation. That twist left everyone speechless. What seemed like a random meltdown turned out to be part of a pattern. And now, the story of one afternoon at the mall had turned into something much bigger. A spotlight on how judgment, assumptions, and unchecked frustration can turn the simplest moment into a public storm. After everything settled, Maya's parents arrived and spoke with security. They were grateful their daughter was safe, but clearly upset that something so innocent had turned into a public ordeal. The mall staff apologized and reassured them the situation was being documented. Maya's parents also asked about the past incidents involving the same woman, and while security couldn't share everything, they confirmed she had been warned before for similar confrontations with younger visitors. Maya and her friends, though, still shaken, began to feel a bit of relief. What had started as a normal afternoon of laughter and fun had turned into something they never expected. But they also realized how important it was to stand firm and speak up when something doesn't feel right. The support they got from bystanders, and even strangers online once the videos spread, helped remind them they weren't alone. The viral videos sparked an even bigger conversation on social media. Hashtags like "Let Teens Be Teens" and "Mall Karen" started trending, with people from around the world sharing their own stories of being unfairly judged or targeted in public. Others praised those who stepped up and defended the girls when things got tense. It became a reminder of how powerful it is when everyday people choose to do the right thing. In the end, the woman was banned from the mall for repeated behavior, and mall management promised to review how such situations are handled moving forward. For Maya and her friends, the experience was unforgettable, not just because of the confrontation, but because of how many people showed support afterward. It's a story that began with laughter, turned into conflict, and ended with a powerful message: kindness, awareness, and speaking up matter, even in the most unexpected places.